So hi, my name is Kay Harding. I'm at Legends Brewery, and this is day 25 of the Richmond Public Library's 100 Days RVA Read program, promoting the Great American Read by PBS WCVE. I'm going to be reading and discussing the Twilight Saga. I chose this book because it has one of the more interesting concepts of fate I've found in young adult literature, and it has altered the genre as we know it, and the mythology behind vampires. But the story itself is actually about immortality and the consequences that happen when souls exist that were never meant to exist in that time period, and how fate has to align itself and readjust for these souls that were never meant to be in that time period. So I have a section from actually the story of Breaking Dawn, when Bella Swan is realizing this and is discussing this with Jacob Black. "We got off track, Jake, out of balance. You're supposed to be part of my life. I can feel that. So can you." She paused for a second without opening her eyes, like she was waiting for me to deny it. When I didn't say anything, she went on. "But not like this. We did something wrong. No, I did. I did something wrong, and we got off track." It's a story about a girl and a werewolf who were actually fated to be together. But because vampires existed and didn't die in the time period that they were supposed to, it altered the course of fate. Twilight actually is one of the saddest love stories I've ever read. And it's because it is actually a story not about Bella Swan and Edward Cullen. It's a story about Bella Swan and Jacob Black, and how their story was eclipsed, and then a Breaking Dawn had to come through in order to readjust fate and put things back on course. "The worst part is knowing what would have been." This is Jacob Black discussing this with Bella Swan. "What might have been," Bella said. "No," Jacob shook his head. "I'm exactly right for you, Bella. It would have been effortless for us, comfortable, easy as breathing. I was the natural path your life would have taken." He stared into space for a moment, and I waited. "If the world was the way it was supposed to be, if there were no monsters and no magic." It's a story about how magic and immortality has a consequence and has a price. Bella discusses this later, where she says, "There are two futures, two soulmates, too much for any one person, and so unfair that I wouldn't be the only one to pay for it." Jacob's pain seemed too high a price. Cringing at the thought of that price, I wondered if I would have wavered if I hadn't lost Edward once, if I didn't know what it was like to live without him. I wasn't sure. That knowledge was so deep a part of me, I couldn't imagine how I would feel without it. There's a scene where Bella kisses Jacob for the first time and actually allows herself to accept that he was her original soulmate. And in that moment, she actually sees their whole future together. She she's given a premonition of what their life would have been. "The worst part," Bella hesitated, then let the words spill out onto the floor. "The worst part is that I saw the whole thing, our life, and I want it bad, Jake. I want it all. I want to stay right here and never move. I want to love you and make you happy, and I can't, and it's killing me. It's like Sam and Emily, Jake. I never had a choice. I always knew nothing would change. Maybe that's why I was fighting against you so hard." She knows that that was her original path, that was actually the story she was supposed to be on. But because, again, this one particular soul that was never supposed to exist did, it changed everything. When she actually has this moment where she's shown her future, this is what she says. "For one brief, never-ending second, an entirely different path expanded behind the lids of my tear-wet eyes, as if I were looking through the filter of Jacob's thoughts, and I could see exactly what I was going to give up, exactly what this new self-knowledge would not save me from losing. I could see years passing and meaning something as they passed, changing me. I could see the enormous red-brown wolf that I loved, always standing as a protector if I needed him. For the tiniest fragment of that second, I saw the bobbing head of two small black-haired children running away from me into the familiar forest. When they disappeared, they took the rest of the vision with them." Because the story that we're left with is one that they know is unnatural, and one that was never supposed to exist, and they can feel that. There's actually a section where Jacob tells her, I would have been healthier for you. I would have been like your son. And she says, I often thought of you that way, as my son. And he tells her, but I couldn't fight an eclipse. Their entire story was eclipsed by this romance that was never supposed to be. No. So if you like what you heard, all 100 books are available at your local Richmond Public Library. Want to be a reader or find out where the next reading is? Visit rvalibrary.org/100days. Join our group on Facebook and subscribe to your YouTube channel at subscribe to our YouTube channel at Richmond Public Library 100 Days. Richmond, let's read.